ang nakita mo ay relevance. Ano ba ibig sabihin ng relevance? Useful. It is so useful. Now, when you say relevant, no, ano yung relevance ng financial statement? Okay, so let's find out. Okay. Now, by the way, qualitative characteristics, no, of financial reporting, no, are grouped into two. There are two groups or categories. One group is fundamental, another group is enhancing. Kumbaga sa babae, no? Kasi kababae ang madalas nagme-makeup, although may mga lalaking nagme-makeup din. O kagaya ng mga movie stars, ng mga television stars. O di ba kahit lalaki nagme-makeup ngayon, o tingnan mo yung BTS. No? Kala mo ganda-ganda talaga nila. Bagay, gwapo naman talaga sila. No? Pero sa totoo lang na-enhance yung kagwapuhan nila kasi nagme-makeup. Pag sinabi nating fundamental characteristics, para nating sinabi yung tao walang makeup, yun yung natural beauty. No? Kasi may mga taong gumaganda lang dahil sa makeup. Aminin. O may ganon. Kaya pag sinabi nating fundamental, ibig sabihin ito yung natural beauty. Ito yung inherent beauty. Samantalang pag sinabi nating enhancing, lalong gumanda kasi minake-upan. Kaya enhancing, lalong gumanda, lalong pinaganda. Kaya pag sinabi nating fundamental, it means to say this is primary, no? Characteristics that are primary, characteristics that are inherent upon financial reports. Pero napapaganda pa siya kasi may enhancing characteristics siya, no? Okay. So, relevance. Ano ba ibig sabihin ng relevance? Okay. Relevance means, no, information is capable of making a difference in the decisions made by users. If an information is capable of making a difference in a decision, then that information is useful. It makes a difference eh. Parang sa isang tao, kapag ang isang tao ay talaga yung presence niya makes a difference, that person is a very important person. Pero kung ang presence mo, whether you are present or absent, it doesn't make sense or it doesn't make any difference. Ibig sabihin, hindi ka importanteng tao. Okay? Di ba? Kaya parang information yan, ang information that is relevant is capable of making a difference in the decision made by users. So that withholding such information or the absence of that information may change the decision of the user. Okay? Kaya ibig sabihin, ano yun? Relevant yun na information. Okay? And when you say relevant, no? Pag sinabi nating relevant, it has a predictive value as well as confirmatory value. Now, when you say confirmatory value, no, it also means feedback. No? May element ng feedback. Okay. Pag sinabi nating predictive value, it can be used as input, no, to processes employed by users, no, to produce future outcome. Okay. Pag gumagawa ka ng forecast, importante ba ang financial statement? Importante. Hindi ka makakagawa ng isang magandang forecast, no, kung walang financial statement. Although there may be cases wherein ang ginamit mo ay talaga yung highly mathematical models. No? Maaaring walang financial statement. Pero dahil gumamit ka ng talagang yung mga nakaka-nosebleed na mga mathematical models, no? Okay, so you can come up with predictions. Okay, but of course for us accountants, no, the basis of the prediction is none other than financial statement. So, by being relevant, no, information contained in the financial statement has both a predictive value and a confirmatory value. A predictive value means forecast, no, or is useful in forecasting, no, or predicting what lies ahead, no, for the company, no. Then confirmatory value has to do with feedback, no. Information contained in the financial statement provides feedback about previous evaluations. Okay. So parang sinabi natin, history, is it still important to us? No, I mean history kasi pag sinabi natin financial statement, it is a summary of financial history. Akala nyo ba future ano yan? Kumbaga, yes, it has a predictive value, but you know, what do you summarize in the financial statements? You summarize what? You only summarize past transactions. Pag sinabi kasing transactions ibig sabihin ang nire-record natin sa accounting, sa books of accounts, are transactions that have already been completed or consummated. Okay? Kasi tayo ng mga accountants if we are engaged in financial accounting, we are financial historians. Ang inilalagay natin sa financial statements are those transactions that have already occurred. Hindi tayo pwedeng maglagay doon ng future transactions. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, what's the use or what is relevant no, in history? Because, history provides feedback. Okay? We learn from the past. So, we are able to avoid the mistakes that we committed in the past, no, so that we can have what? We can have a better future. 'Di ba parang ganon? History, no? If you do not know raw your history, you can never attain success. Kasi dapat ang compass natin ay yung ano ang pinagmulan, ano yung naging origin natin. O, 'di ba? Parang ganon. So it provides, no, financial statement has confirmatory value because it provides feedback about previous evaluation. Kung nagkamali man in the past, no, you can still rectify, no, by studying the mistakes of the past. Hanep, the mistakes of the past. Rectifying the mistakes of the past. Yan. Okay? So, relevance. Ayan. Now, what about faithful representation? Sabi natin, information, no, or financial statements must convey information that and that it represents, no, it represents what do you call this, that it represents faithfully what it purports to represent. Anong ibig sabihin nun? It represents faithfully what it purports to represent. Ano ibig sabihin? Ang ibig sabihin, kapag nag-present ka o cash in bank sa statement of financial position mo, nakalagay dyan, cash and cash equivalents. Nakalagay 10 million. Anong ibig sabihin? It means that cash is existing at 10 million. Ibig sabihin, may existence ng asset. It represents, kaya tinawag siyang cash kasi it represents faithfully what it purports to represent. May inventory raw amounting to 5 million. Di natural, kung mag-inspection ka doon sa warehouse, dapat makakita ka ng inventory worth 5 million. No? So that information about inventory represents faithfully what it purports to represent. Pag sinabi mong property, plant, and equipment, nakita mo building, it really refers to building literally. Vehicle, it refers to vehicle literally. And it exists. And it is an asset that is controlled by the entity. Okay? So pag nakita mo doon, merong nakalagay na notes payable or a bank loan payable. Ano ibig sabihin noon? Talagang may utang ka sa bangko. Okay? So it represents faithfully what it purports to represent. Okay? So, now, as you can see, relevance and faithful representation are fundamental characteristics. Now, if information has a faithful representation, it got to be neutral, it got to be complete, and it must be free from error. Okay? So ano ibig sabihin ng neutrality? What is neutrality? Neutrality means it is without bias to the selection or presentation of financial statements. Because financial statements, no, general purpose financial statements are prepared for general use or for users, no, or for not for a special group of people or users, but for all users. Kaya nga neutral siya. Okay? So it is not biased. It has without bias, no, to the selection or presentation of financial statement. It does not, it does not, what do you call this? Well, it does not favor, no, a special group of users, no? Hindi lang isang user, maraming grupo ng users. So that the general purpose financial statements must be for general users, no? Ibig sabihin para sa lahat, hindi para lang sa iilan. Okay? Now, faithful representation also means completeness. Completeness means all information for a user to understand the phenomenon being depicted, including all necessary descriptions and explanation. Kompleto yung information, wala ka nang hahanapin pa. Hindi pwedeng partial. Okay, it got to, it got to communicate what? Communicate complete information. No? Ibig sabihin, dapat naiintindihan, dapat kumpleto. Okay? So, completeness of information being depicted. Okay? Freedom from error. Meaning to say that it is reliable in the sense that there are no errors or omissions, no, in the description of the phenomenon, and the process used, the process yan, and the process used to produce the reported information has been selected and applied in the process with no errors. Meaning to say that we can rely upon, no, the information because it is expected to be free from material error. I'm not saying all errors, I'm saying material or significant error. Okay? So material, alam nyo ibig sabihin ng material o significant error. Okay, so that means to say it has to be free from material error. Kaya nga 'di ba sa auditing, no, sa independent audit. Okay, so a financial statement, no, containing material misstatements, no, will never be what issued an unqualified opinion. So meaning to say kapag nagkaroon ng material error, no, that affects the fairness of the presentation of the financial statement, then no, it does not deserve, or that financial statement does not deserve unqualified opinion. Kasi bakit? Merong material misstatement because material misstatement, no, may mislead the users of the statement if not corrected. Kaya importante sa audit na yung mga audit adjustments nyo, proposed audit adjustments, ite-take up talaga ng kliyente. Otherwise, kapag hindi mo kinorek yon and that the error is material, sa totoo, ayaw nung kliyenteng tanggapin yung audit adjustment mo. Di anong gagawin mo? Huwag ka mag-i-issue ng unqualified opinion. Ayaw tanggapin yung ano mo yung audit yung audit adjustment mo failure to what we call to correct, no, material errors would mean modification of the audit report. Hindi pwedeng, hindi karapat-dapat, no, ma-issue ang unqualified opinion. Okay? So, let's go to enhancing qualitative characteristics, no? Comparability. Now, when you say comparable, it means to say you can compare or you can point out the similarities and differences. Now, when you compare, no, what do you attain when you compare? 'Di ba? Nalalaman natin kung ano yung similarities and differences. Okay, so comparability means identify and understand similarities and differences among items. Now, I have already mentioned earlier about, no, the types of comparability. No, so in financial statements, no, using financial statements, no, you may what? You may engage in intra-comparability. Ano ibig sabihin ng intra-comparability? Comparability within the same entity. Pag kinumpare mo yung this year's performance against last year performance, what is that? That's intra-comparability. Oh, this year's performance, no, against the last year's performance, and then the other or the earlier year's performance or performances, no, are examples of inter or rather intra-comparability. Intercomparability means you compare a company's financial statement with another company's financial statement. That's intercomparability or cross-sectional comparability. No? Okay. So doon normally, di ba sa FS analysis, ano ginagawa natin? Ang ginagawa natin, kino-compare natin yung kumpanya, no, doon sa ibang kumpanya. O kaya naman yung kumpanya, kino-compare natin sa industry norm or the industry standard. O di ba? O para malaman mo ano ba tayo, ano ba yung positioning ng company sa industriya. O naglalag behind ba siya or ano siya or siya kumbaga the best among the best. Okay. The better among the best. Okay. So ganon So that means merong intercomparability, may intracomparability, may intercomparability. So we identify and understand similarities and differences among items. Okay. Now, timeliness. We all understand what timeliness is. Okay, so that financial statements that are submitted late may lose their relevance. Why? Because they are not timely submitted. Kumbaga, nakagawa na ng desisyon, hindi pa dumarating yung financial statement na dapat naging basihan ng desisyon. O pagdating nung late na yon na financial statements, wala na, no use, nakagawa na ng desisyon baka na-implement na nga yung decision. So it means to say timeliness, no, is even an ingredient, no, of what? Of relevance. May ingredient ang relevance. Timeliness is an ingredient of relevance. Okay? So parang yan yung kasabihan natin, aanhin mo pa ang damo kung patay na ang kabayo. Nagsabit ka ng financial statements late na, nakagawa na ng desisyon. It should have been a different decision, no, if only the financial statements, no, were submitted early. Right? Okay, so yon so having information available to decision makers in time, no? Okay, or on time to be capable of influencing their decisions. Okay? Now, verifiability is also an enhancing qualitative characteristic. What do we mean by verifiability? So different knowledgeable and independent observers could reach a consensus, no, regarding an entity, although not necessarily complete agreement that a particular depiction is a faithful representation. Kaya eto ganito di ba? One good example is that, syempre, the financial accountant prepares financial statement. And here comes an auditor who will examine the financial statement. So that if they arrive at the same consensus, they arrive at the same conclusion, then that means to say financial statements are very well, kumbaga, are verifiable. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, no, kahit two independent observers, no, they could come up with the same conclusion about the company based on financial statement. Kasi yung financial statement, verifiable. Right? Okay. Understandability, no? The use of classification, no? So, ibig sabihin, when we present financial statements, isn't it that we classify accounts? In fact, for assets and liabilities, we need to classify them, no, into current assets or current liabilities, no, or non-current assets or non-current liabilities. And that is very basic in accounting, no, in financial accounting. So an item, an asset, it's either current asset or non-current asset. A liability is either a current liability or a non-current liability. So classifying, characterizing, and presenting information clearly and concisely. Hindi lahat ng babasa ng financial statement ay accountant. Kaya dapat gumamit tayo ng mga ng mga salita, ng mga terminologies na madaling maintindihan ng isang common user. Okay? Kaya hindi tayo nag-a-abbreviate ng account titles. No? Hindi tayo gumagamit lang basta-basta ng mga acronyms na hindi maiintindihan ng user. Okay? Eh tayo nagkakaintindihan. Kapag sinabi natin, ginamit natin yung DR, debit yun. CR, credit yun. O di, sige nga, gawin mo nga sa, gawin mo nga sa financial report yon. O, DR and CR, sasabihin ng user, anong CR? O, hindi nila maiintindihan yung pala credit. Tayong mga accountants, we share common lingo. Meron tayong sarili nating lengguwahe. Pero hindi lahat ng gagamit na or makakikita or makababasa ng ating financial statements naiintindihan yung mga ginagamit nating terminologies. Okay, kaya nga yung mga, tingnan mo, yung mga description ng mga accounts. Pag sinabi natin cash, it's really cash. Diba? Pag sinabi natin cash in bank, mga cash na nakadeposito sa bangko. Pag sinabi natin cash on hand, nasaan? Di nun doon sa company premise. Kasi cash on hand di ba? Pag sinabi natin shares or share capital, talagang shares of stock yan. Dahil share capital di ba? Pag sinabi natin building, talagang building. Okay, makakakita ka talaga ng structure, hindi lang sa isip. Talaga merong may building talaga. Pag sinabi nating land, abay talaga dapat may title yung land na yan, lupa di ba? Kaya we use common what we call common terms that are quite understandable kasi not all users of financial statements are accountants. No? Kahit yung presentation natin ng financial statement, there is always an order. Kaya natin kinaklasify ang assets and liabilities. Bakit? Kasi para madaling maintindihan. Pag sinabi natin current asset, ibig sabihin, these are assets that we consume within the next 12 months. Okay? Or 1 year or the one operating cycle, whichever is longer. Diba? Ganun ang ginagawa natin. Pag sinabi na natin non-current liability, ang ibig sabihin, we need not settle within the next 12 months. Kasi nga, non-current siya. Di ba? Kaya madaling maintindihan. We need to make information understandable. Okay? Kaya nga may chart of accounts tayo. Ano ba yung chart of accounts? Listahan ng mga account titles yon with their account number or account code para na sa ganun madali silang i-locate sa libro. Para yung libro na may table of contents. Bakit? May mga pages o tayo sa general ledger o paano natin nilolocate ang account. Di merong number, may account code. Nasusundan natin yung pagkakasunod-sunod ng mga accounts. May account code siya. There is an order. Bakit? For the sake of the users of the statement. We need to make the process understandable. We need to make our financial statement presentation understandable. Di ba? Kaya naglalagay ka ng heading. Baka naggawa ka ng financial statement, nakakalimutan mo yung heading. Importante ba yun? Yun ang identification what's the reporting entity? Who's the reporting entity? Ilagay mo dun sa heading. The name of the company. Anong klaseng statement ito? Baka wala man lang nakalagay na type of the statement. Etas walang period covered. Sa statement of financial position, walang nakalagay na end of the reporting period. Saan applicable pala to? Okay, so that means importante yung mga information na ganon. So to make it understandable, and beside, we even support our main statement with what? With notes to financial statement, supporting notes, para maging klaro, lalong klaro. We need to be very transparent. A reporting entity must be transparent so that all explanations, all that are pertinent, to a greater understanding of the financial statement, kailangan nandun sa notes to financial statement. And in fact, even our accounting policies, significant accounting policies, which we use or which we applied in presenting or in preparing and presenting the statement, naka-summarize din dun sa notes to financial statement. Kaya hindi basta-basta ang ginagawa ng mga accountants. Hindi lang tayo gumagamit ng calculator. Nagna-narrate din tayo. We are narrators. Narrator, sabi mo, naku, hindi ako marunong masyadong mag-English. Kawawa ka naman kasi ang trabaho mo, mag-narrate. So aside from calculating, ikaw ay magna-narrate kasi gagawa ka rin ng notes to financial statement. Sabi mo, yun na lang auditor gumawa ng notes. Yan ang problema. Inasahan yung auditor, yung independent auditor, na gumawa ng notes to financial statement, where in fact, the notes to financial statement is a responsibility or the responsibility, not a the responsibility of what? The responsibility of the financial statement preparer. Hindi yung independent auditor. Kasi ang nangyayari sa audit, inaasahan yung independent auditor na siya ang gumawa ng notes to financial statement. Hindi. Ang dapat gumawa ng notes to financial statement, yung financial statement preparer. Sino yon? Ayun, yung kumpanya, yung accountant ng kumpanya. Ganun. Okay? So, ang dami palang mga ang dami palang dapat maintindihan. Oo. At connect yan. Kapag hindi mo na intindihan yung isa, maaaring may kakonect yan. Kaya hindi mo maiintindihan completely yung transaction. How to go about it. Bakit? Kasi merong loose connection na hindi mo naintindihan. Okay? Kaya that's the reason why pinag-aaralan ang conceptual framework. Okay. Next, cost constraint. Ano ba time na? Sandali, tingnan natin. Baka tayo nag-e-exceed. Naku po. Cost constraint on useful financial reporting. Cost is a pervasive constraint. Ano ibig sabihin ng constraint? Barrier. Ito yung kontrabida. No, 'di ba? Gusto mo accurate yung financial statement mo, more or less accurate. Ang problema, yung cost of the what? Cost of the system. Kaya nga 'di ba ang mga kumpanya gusto nila gusto nila ay automated. Kasi nga naman pag automated, ang bilis ng transaction processing. Automated financial statement. Automated, accounting information system. The problem is cost. Can you afford it? You want a more or less accurate, although we do not use the term accurate, no? When we refer to financial statement, because financial statement is a product of estimate rather than an absolute truth. No? Anong ibig ko sabihin? Hindi pala truthful yung financial statement? No, that is not what I mean. What I mean is, no, it's just a product of estimate because management is allowed to make estimates. O sige nga, can you be precise in your accumulated depreciation? Ini-estimate lang ang accumulated depreciation. Yung depreciation itself. O can you be precise or can you be accurate, no, whenever you are computing allowance for doubtful accounts? Sige nga. Mape-predict mo ba accurately kung sino magbabayad at hindi na customer? Okay? So meaning to say, financial statement is just a product of estimate, good estimates, sound judgment. Okay? Diba? Okay, and even the use of accounting, the use of accounting policies or application of accounting policies. Kasi kagaya, look, no? Siguro alam niyo yung accounting for inventory, ha? Sabi natin, to determine the cost of the inventory according to PAS number 2, no? On financial reporting of inventories. Okay? There is a separate or a specific PAS on inventories, no? Ang sabi, you can use to determine the cost of inventory, no? You can use either FIFO method or average method. 'Di ba? So ang ibig sabihin and of course specific identification, no? So, ibig sabihin lahat 'yun, yung tatlong 'yun, well, they are what? They are generally accepted. No? Generally accepted ang GAAP. Ngayon ang tanong ko ganito. Company A uses FIFO method. Is it acceptable? Yes. What about company B? Well, company B uses the average method. Is it acceptable? Yes. Ang ibig sabihin, financial statement is also a product or is only a product of estimate and professional judgment. Kasi pag sinabi natin, that's the reason why accounting is also an art. Not just a science, it's also an art. Bakit? We can use our informed judgment in selecting accounting policies that we will apply in preparing and presenting financial statement. Kaya pag sinabi natin gumamit tayo ng FIFO method, well and good. It's acceptable. What about if we will use or we will choose average method over FIFO method? That's also acceptable. Kaya ibig sabihin, financial statement is a product of estimate and informed judgment. Kaya it can never be an absolute truth. Bakit? May mga ini-estimate tayo So it cannot be absolutely true. Okay? Ngayon, ang tanong, ganito. Paano? Kasi gusto ko, more or less, sabi kong gano'n, gusto ko talagang more or less, medyo precise yung ating cost, etc. Yan. Ang tanong ganito, sabi nga, cost is a pervasive constraint. It's a barrier. Hindi ka hindi ka makapag-automate kasi kulang, cannot afford yet kasi small pa lang yung entity. So that means to say cost is a pervasive constraint on the information that can be provided by general purpose financial reporting. Reporting such information imposes cost. Kailangan mo ng accountant. Hindi pwedeng pro bono. Kailangan syempre, lahat ba accountant? Hindi. Sino ba specialist sa ganyan? Yung mga accountants, magpapasweldo ka ng accountant. Reporting such information imposes costs and those costs should be justified by the benefits of reporting that information. And that, sabi nga natin, di ba, sa internal control, no? The cost or the benefit, no, of information, no, must always outweigh the cost of information. May cost bang information? Definitely. Yung processing of, the processing of data has cost. No? So, information generation entails cost. Kaya cost is a constraint. Kaya nga, kapag meron kang system, the benefit from that information system must always outweigh the cost of adopting such system. Diba? Okay, so when the cost of reporting certain financial information outweighs the benefit, yun ang cost constraint. Masyadong costly. No? Kaya nga, when the cost of reporting certain financial information outweighs the benefits, then that is a cost constraint. Okay? So next, elements of financial statement. So for the elements, ayan, no? Meron tayong table dyan. Economic resource means asset, claim, maybe liability or equity. Yan yung mga bagong definition, ha? Kasi if you will compare the definition of assets and liabilities, the 2018 version, versus the what you call the old version of conceptual framework, iba yung definition ng asset. Dito, technically the same, but how it was said, or how it is said, it's different. Mas simple yung sa 2018. Okay? So definition or description of an asset, it is a present economic resource controlled by the entity as a result of past events. Okay? So meaning to say that it's a present asset. It's not a future asset or an asset about to be what? Acquired pa. It has to be a present asset. Okay? Present economic resource. Controlled by the entity, there is the element of control, by the entity. Kaya nga, di ba, pag-aaralan natin sa leases, yung accounting for leases, that, even the right of use asset in a finance lease, di ba, is already an asset. Okay? Kasi the leased property is being controlled by the entity, by the lessee. Kaya doon pa lang sa lessee's books, ni-recognize na yung right of use asset. Bakit? The asset, although it is leased property, is controlled by the lessee. Kaya kasali na siya doon sa listahan ng asset. Kasi because of that element of control. Di ba? Okay, by the entity as a result of past event. Kaya nga sabi ko sa inyo, financial historian tayo eh. Bakit? We only account for past events, never future events. Okay? So, an economic resource is a right that has the potential to produce economic benefits. Okay, bakit ka gumagamit ng asset? Natural, You need to produce economic benefits. Kaya nga sabi natin, kapag daw ang asset loses its probable economic benefit, then you need to derecognize. O, diba? Bakit? Eh, wala ka ng probable or potential economic benefits from it. Anong ibig sabihin? Hindi na makakapag-generate yan ng cash flow. Anong ibig sabihin? Aba, it's high time to derecognize that from the book. Yun yung sinasabi nating derecognition. Oh, example, kapag nagkaroon ng impairment of an asset, ano ibig sabihin ng impairment? Nagiging inutil. Oh, ano ba ibig sabihin ng inutil? Wa silbi, wa na. Okay? So anong ginagawa natin? Eh di nagre-recognize tayo ng impairment loss. Bakit? Eh kasi you already you lose, no? The company has lost potential, no, potential or probable economic benefit from it. O ano gagawin mo? I-charge mo na sa loss. Anong loss? Impairment loss. Oh, you see? Ano ginagawa mo? Eh di i-recognize mo. Ano ibig sabihin ng derecognition? Tanggalin mo na sa libro. Bakit? No use na eh. Inutil na. Oh, you see? Kaya kailangan pala ang economic resource, no, is capable of providing potential or probable economic benefit. 'Di ba? Kaya madaling maintindihan pag alam mo yung konsepto. Oh. Okay. What about liability? Ang liability daw, a present obligation, present it means to say hindi future obligation kasi if it is a future obligation, then it is just a contingency. It's a contingent liability. Kaya para maging actual liability siya, kailangan present obligation siya of the entity to transfer an economic resource as a result of past event. Ano ibig sabihin yan? A present obligation of an entity to transfer an economic resource. Isn't it that when you settle the liability, there will be what? An outflow of asset. Binayaran mo ng cash. O, di nagkaroon ng outflow ng asset. O, di ba? Okay, so that means to say, nagkaroon ng transfer of an economic resource as a result of past event. Okay? What about equity? It's the residual interest. Ano yung sabihin ng residual? Residue nga, latak. Bakit latak? Eh di ba laging priority ang ating liability? Okay? Kaya nga sabi natin, asset minus liability is equal to net asset. Or asset minus liability is equal to equity. Okay, residual interest in the asset. So after all assets have been exhausted, no? Of course, in the event, ito na lang, in the event of liquidation. So who gets the first priority when it comes to settlement? Liability, the creditors. Kaya nga sinabing residual interest. Residue. Pag may natira pang assets, then that's the time you return the assets or the return investment, the investment of the owners. So the residual interest in the assets of the entity after deducting all its liabilities. Okay, changes in economic resources and claims reflecting financial performance. So you have income. What is another term for income? Revenue. So it increases, it refers to increases in assets, decreases in liabilities that result in increases in equity other than those relating to contributions from holders of equity claim. So ang ibig sabihin, itong ating definition talagang it's more on the changes, no, the changes in assets, liabilities and equity. Yun ang nakafocus tayo doon, ano? Expenses, decreases in assets, increases in liability that result in decreases in equity other than those relating to distribution to holders of equity claims. Di ba laging nakalagay dyan, other than those relating to distribution to holders of equity claims. Okay, so next, other changes in economic resources and claims, contributions from holders of equity claims and distribution to them. exchanges of assets or liabilities that do not result in increases or decreases in equity. Okay? So we all know that elements of financial statement means asset, liabilities, and equity. What are the elements of financial performance? All items that you see in your income statement, expenses and income. Okay. So, elements of financial position, you have assets, liabilities, and equity. Elements of financial performance, you have income and expenses. Okay. So, objective and scope of financial statement. The financial statement is to provide financial information about the reporting entity's assets, liabilities, equity, income, and expenses that is useful to users of financial statement in assessing the prospects for future net cash flows to the reporting entity and in assessing management stewardship of the entity's economic resources. Okay. So, for statement of financial position at the beginning of the reporting period, okay, and then plus, ibig sabihin lang yan, beginning balances, plus, okay, any changes in assets, liabilities, and equity, okay, brought about by financial performance, okay? Kaya meron tayong statement of financial performance. Ano ba yung statement of financial performance? Eh di natural, yung statement of comprehensive income. Okay? And then, or particularly income statement, no? That upper part of the statement of comprehensive income. Contribution plus contributions from equity holders minus distribution to equity holders equal to the statement of financial position at the end of the reporting period. Okay? So, we all know this. Reporting period. Ano ibig sabihin ng reporting period? Eh, yung time period, yung accounting period. Kaya pag sinabi nating end of the reporting period, we are referring to the statement of financial position. Okay? So, we report the statement of financial position. Okay? Now, okay, so I think kasi medyo meron tayo, mga ano na tayo, almost halfway na, almost done na tayo except that meron pa tayong natira. No? So although yung iba dyan, I already emphasized. Okay, so your assignment is to answer, no? You read the lesson, no? Lesson 1, and that you answer the review exercises. Okay, so in your review exercises, wait a minute. So before I let you go, dali So before I let you go, so let me show you. Okay, so wait lang Window. Ayan, no? So, try to answer at home. Try to answer at home the review questions up to 120. Madami. From 1 to 120. And then there is also this matching type and fill in the blanks. Okay? So may matching type na, may fill in the blanks, at may identification pa. Okay? So, although, sabi nga natin, no, the board examination is multiple choice type of questions, no? Okay? So anyway, mas maganda kasi application maganda itong itong matching type at saka yung identification. You just try to answer because we will discuss naman the answers later on, no? So when we meet again. Now, for our next conceptual framework, and then the next topic is key players in accountancy, both local and international. And then kapag sinipag-sipag pa kayo, pakibasa yung PAS number 1. PAS number 1 is presentation of financial statements. Okay? So those are your assignments, no? So I will see you next time, and I hope you learned something tonight. Okay? So see you all next Monday. Bye-bye.